Buying the wrong condo in the wrong complex could be the biggest financial mistake of your life. For most first-time buyers in Abbotsford, it feels like they're walking blind into the most expensive decision they have ever made. And that's not okay. If you're in your mid-20s or early 30s, maybe starting a family, renting, and dreaming about owning your first real home, but feeling completely overwhelmed by strata fees, the pre-approval process, inspections, and how the offer process even works, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm giving you the ultimate guide into buying your first condo without regrets or buyer's remorse. Today's video will be broken down into 5 key sections. The first is having the right mindset. Number 2, understanding the Abbotsford condo market. Number 3, the key things you need to consider. Number 4, what to look for when looking at condos. And number 5, how to make a strong offer. If this is your first time on our channel, my only ask is if you find today's information valuable, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe button so we can keep bringing more valuable content like this to you. If you want to book a meeting with my team and I, click the first link in the description below. Part 1, before we talk about floor plans, the pre-approval process, everything starts with having the right mindset and beliefs. I talk to a lot of people, usually young people in public spaces, and one of the most common questions I'll ask them out of curiosity is, what are your thoughts on buying your first home? And the most common response I get from these folks is, I can't buy a home. Homes are not affordable. Landlords have ruined the housing market. I'll never be able to buy a housing market, or it's not a priority right now. And when I hear things like this, it's quite disheartening that people lack the wrong mindset, or they can't get into home ownership. And that's the furthest thing from the truth, folks. I help a lot of first-time home buyers each year. These are young couples, professionals that are buying their first home. But one thing that I talk to them and educate them on our first consultation is that you need to have the right mindset. And the mindset that we're talking about is having a long-term investor's mindset and having the belief home ownership is possible. How about if I told you that you can buy your first 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condo with a down payment of 5%? So suppose you're buying a 1-bed, 1-bath condo that's worth $400,000. For easy math, 5% of $400,000 is 20%. And this is a realistic number that we can save over 1 to 3 years, or we can get help from mom and dad when you're buying your first home. And when I'm talking about having the right mindset, is what I mean by this, folks, is you're buying a home to live and enjoy getting out of the rental market, and you're going to enjoy this home for a minimum of 8 to 10 years, or hold on to it for a minimum of 5 years before you look to make another purchase for a townhouse or detached home. One thing to note, folks, is your first condo isn't your forever home, but it's a launch pad to help you enter the market. And once you have entered the market, you have accomplished a great milestone, and this will help you with moving up to a townhome and eventually a detached home. This is a process for everyone that wants to own a detached home here in the Fraser Valley and Abbotsford. Number 2, understanding the Abbotsford market. The most important thing that you want to know as a first-time home buyer is understanding the local market conditions. In real estate, we have 3 market types. We have a seller's market, balanced market, and a buyer's market. In a seller's market, there's limited homes for sale, and there's a high number of buyers and investors competing for those homes. In a balanced market, there's an equilibrium of buyers and homes. In a buyer's market, there's more homes for sale, outnumbering the buyers in that market. Right now, as we record this video, the Abbey condo market is representing a balanced market at 14%. You want to know, okay, what type of market we're in, months of inventory, and what are the recent sales for the similar homes that you're looking for. Next, you want to understand the difference between buying resale versus construction. And here's the thing, folks, when you're buying a resale condo, not only are you buying a home that you can view in person, you can review the strata documents, confirm the parking stalls, storage lockers, and you get to know the history behind the building and the strata. But when you're buying brand new construction, what you're really buying is a piece of paper saying that, hey, you'll get keys to your new home in a couple of years. Not only that, that in some cases, you're paying GST and you're paying higher market value than you would for a condo that is already completed. Another thing is when you're looking at pre-sale and brand new construction is these units are actually smaller in comparison to those units that are already completed. Next, you need to understand what these units cost. An average 1-bed, 1-bath condo built between 2005 to 2020, you're looking at a purchase price anywhere between $370,000 to $420,000. For a 2-bed, 2-bath condo that's 10 to 15 years old, you're looking at a purchase price between $470,000 to $500,000. The other thing is you want to know the neighborhood that you want to live in. Do you want to live in Central Abbotsford, East Abbotsford, or West Abbotsford? But not only that, folks, you want to know things like what are the key amenities close by, schools, recreation, parks, shopping, dining, and so on. To save you guys time, I've created a video above that talks about the top 3 areas to live here in Abbotsford. The next thing is buying in an older building versus a newer building. One of the key benefits of buying in a building that's 1 to 3 years old is that, hey, you're buying a home in a newer building and it's still covered in warranty for the next 7 to 10 years. So you don't have to worry about any major upcoming special levies in relationship to the roof, windows, plumbing, etc. In an older building, one of the key advantages is you'll find bigger units with a bigger floor plan. So what I mean by this is, let's just talk about right now condos built between 2005 to 2018. The average living space typically for these floor plans for a 2-bed, 2-bath condo is around 900 square feet of living space to over 1,000 square feet. For these newer units that are built in, let's just say over the last 1 to 2 years, the minimum or average living space for these units ranges from 800 square feet to 900 square feet. Part 3. Key things to consider. Before you start looking for homes or viewing units in person, one of the most important steps in your home buying process is getting pre-approved. Once you are pre-approved, you are done 50% of the home buying process. When I get calls or emails from first-time home buyers that are interested in purchasing their first 1-bed or 2-bedroom condo, we don't look at homes until they're pre-approved. Next, you need to understand the difference between buying a unit that's owner-occupied versus buying a tenanted property. So units that are owner-occupied, usually you can view them faster and you can get keys for your new home after subject removal probably within 1 to 2 months. But properties that are tenant occupied don't show well, it's harder to get a showing, and you're going to be waiting 3 to 4 months before you get keys to your new home. That's why buyers that I'm working with right now tend to prefer homes that are owner occupied. Not only do they show better, but they don't have to worry about the tenant not moving out. Number 3, strata fees. When you live in a condo, you pay a monthly strata fee that covers the building's expenses for management, sewer, water, hot water, garbage removal, snow removal, gardening, and the list goes on. Right now here in the Fraser Valley, the average strata fees ranges from 50 to 60 cents per square feet. The next thing is you have to understand if buildings have amenities, things like a gym or a pool, you're going to be paying a higher monthly strata fee just because there's associated cost that the strata association takes on for the maintenance of that gym or pool. The next thing is you want to work with a local real estate expert like me that helps a lot of buyers and investors each year buying condos, and they know the difference between A+ stratas versus an average strata. The bonus thing is when you work with a realtor like me is when I'm showing clients 1-bed or 2-bedroom units, we're always looking in A+ stratas. These are stratas that my clients have already bought into and they have a good reputation, and I've had an opportunity to review the strata documents for this complex numerous times. Not only that, if clients send me some listings for buildings that are not well managed or they're located in a crappy complex, we're gonna let them know right away. Not only that, one step further is when we're sending listings to clients for criteria for the type of home they're looking for, we're matching those listings to A+ stratas. Part 4, viewing properties. When you're looking at homes, trust your gut. Your first 30 seconds matter. Pay attention to how you feel when inside the home. Does it fit all your needs? Is it the right floor plan? And does it meet everything that you need in your future home? The next thing is focus on quality over quantity. Often I get this question from first-time buyers saying, hey Gary, there's a condo down the street that's $60,000 to $80,000 cheaper. Should we be looking at those units? And what I tell my clients is there's a good reason why buy those units down the road are $60,000 to $80,000 cheaper. One of them might be that they've been flagged by CMHC, meaning the only way that you can buy into that building is if you're doing a down payment of 20%. The next thing is they might have a very crappy strata management company where the building hasn't been managed well, and they have thousands and thousands of dollars in unforeseen special levies that are coming up. So if you are looking at buying your first home, focus on quality. Buying a quality unit in a quality strata complex. Next is be very clear on your needs. What type of floor plan do you need? How much of a living space do you need? How many bedrooms do you need? Are you looking for a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom unit? Or are you looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, plus a den? How many parking stalls do you need? Do you need a storage locker? Do you have any pets? Those are all key things to consider and keep in mind when talking to your realtor during your first consultation on the typical things that you're looking for in your ideal home. The other thing is location matters. You want to make sure you buy a home in a neighborhood that's family and kid friendly. There's low neighborhood crime. It's easily accessible to key amenities. Other things that you want to notice, you don't want to buy a unit that's facing traffic on a busy road close to the highway, or you hear loud footsteps above you. One of the key things that you can do is pause, take a deep breath, and listen and see if you're hearing any noises that might be a nuisance to you down the road. Other things to notice, visit the complex different times of the day to understand the local foot traffic, not only in that complex, and to understand the traffic on the nearby streets. Other things to note is you have to know your deposit. Usually when you're buying your first home, you need a deposit of 5% of the purchase price, which is due at the final subject removal. So typically for a $500,000 condo, 5% of a purchase price of $500,000 is $25,000. Next, understand the down payment math. So that's why it's very important that you connect with the mortgage specialist right away to understand, okay, if you're getting pre-approved based on all the information required, what your monthly mortgage approval is for, what your monthly mortgage payment will look like, and other things to factor in are things like monthly strata fees, home insurance, and property tax. The last thing in this section is don't forget about any key renovations that need to be done, the property transfer tax, closing costs, legal fees. These are all things that you'll have to pay for and are not part of your monthly mortgage payments. Next, let's talk about making an offer. When you're making an offer, there's 5 key components. The first is price. Number 2 is the deposit. Number 3 is the closing date. Number 4 is the 3-day buyer rescission period. And number 5 is the conditions you would put in on an offer. And the most important conditions you want to include in any offer is obviously the first one is subject to financing. The second one is getting a home inspection done, reviewing the strata documents, reviewing the title, reviewing the property disclosure statement, confirming the parking stalls, storage lockers, and the list goes on. The 3 most important subjects that you want to be mindful obviously is of the subject of financing, but the second one is reviewing the strata documents. You'll get the strata minutes from the last 24 months, and you want to make sure you take your time reviewing and understanding what these documents have to say. After you're done reviewing these documents, you'll have a very good understanding of how the financials and the day-to-day business of the strata is managed. Not only that, but you'll get a clear understanding of the bylaws and the rules for that complex. Certain buildings have pet restrictions where you're not allowed pets, or they might have height requirements for the type of dogs that are allowed in that complex. The third subject is the home inspection. After you've done your due diligence for all of your subjects, then you're at the final day of subject removal. And what subject removal really is a form that your realtor fills out and that you sign off on saying that you've done all your due diligence and you want to move forward with the purchase alongside with the deposit in good faith. After subject removal, you get ready for completion. And what completion is essentially transfer of the name and money between the seller and buyer. Possession date is the day when you get keys for your new home, and usually possession date is a day or 2 after the completion date. Buying your first condo doesn't have to be a guessing game. When you surround yourself with the right realtor and the right team, they will help you understand the home buying process and the different steps in the home buying process, and you're making an informed decision at every step of the process. Do you still have questions regarding the top mistakes buyers make when they're buying their first condo? Click the video on the side because we talk about the top mistakes buyers make when they're buying their first home. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on other things that you might think are important or things that you didn't know about when buying your first condo. I'm Dhindsa, and I'll see you next week.